The playoff matchups are set, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens for the third time in this season. Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports, everybody. I'm Jason. Let's dive in here on a Monday and talk Pittsburgh Steelers football. And I want to talk a little bit about this matchup that's going to happen against the Baltimore Ravens for the third time this season. Hope everybody stays safe. I just came in from shoveling the driveway and the sidewalks and getting a day started here bright and early. Well, it isn't bright, but it's early. But the Pittsburgh Steelers facing the Baltimore Ravens after yesterday's slates of games. Crazy shit. Good stuff yesterday for the NFL. Great games across the board, in my opinion. A lot of meaningful football, at least in Week 18. So it was something really cool. The Lions, Vikings late last night was super cool. When you watch those types of teams, though, you think to yourself, man, I just don't see the Pittsburgh Steelers competing with one of those ball clubs. They would absolutely get dismembered as they sit right now. That's not saying things can't change, because I definitely consider the Steelers still having a chance. But when you look at this Steelers football team and how they play, and you look at some of these other elite teams in the NFL, you ask yourself, like, what are the Steelers even doing? Just some of the offensive just systems, just the base sets of some of these really good teams. The Steelers don't even look like they're even in the same ballpark, with just these good teams' basic offenses, let alone any of their complex formations and plays. The Steelers look lost, my friends, and that's where we head here as they travel to Baltimore in, again, third time this season that the Steelers will meet the Baltimore Ravens. They've both won a game, and now they meet in the playoffs. Can the Steelers buy into what Russell Wilson had to say? It's a clean slate. We're going to wipe the slate clean. It's a new season. Can they buy into that? That's a question that's going to have to be answered by themselves. We can all sit here and speculate all week. We can talk X's and O's, but what it's going to come down to in playoff football is the want to, the fight, the will to survive, basically. It's a win-or-go-home type scenario now in this single elimination tournament, as Mike Tomlin always likes to say. But speaking of Mike Tomlin, I think therein lies the problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that Mike Tomlin has absolutely handicapped this ball club, absolutely brainwashed them into thinking that running the football and defense is the way this football team has to win. And the way this football team is constructed, they don't have the personnel to win that way. The defense isn't as good as we all thought. It's the highest paid defense in the league, and it's not even close to the best. The offense is very weak and cannot dictate their will running the football. And that's what Mike Tomlin, that's how he wants to win games. He wants to win it in a very elementary way. And there's no problem with that. But as the head coach of the franchise, you have to recognize your personnel and understand what you are going to be able to do. Can you win that way? That's the question. And all good head coaches do one thing. They look at their personnel each and every season as it's constructed. They don't take into consideration what had happened in the past or what could possibly happen in the future. They look at their players currently, how that roster is constructed. They look at those players' skill sets, and they formulate a game plan around in which they can be successful. And you don't see that with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, again, wants to win one way only. He never adapts, never changes, and expects to win ball games, expects a different outcome each and every single week, which is the true definition of insanity. Again, to be quite honest with you, Mike Tomlin has absolutely handicapped this football team by his unwillingness to change, by his unwillingness to adapt to his players. I'm not looking at anybody else in the NFL. I'm not looking at what they do. Because, yeah, you can take a bunch of ideas and look and watch and see what people do. But again, guys, it boils down to what your team possesses. What kind of skill sets do they possess? What do they do best? And Mike Tomlin has not been able to put his thumb on that. He has not been able to come up with that answer. And quite frankly, to be quite honest with you, he has not been willing to adapt his game plan in any which way, shape, or form. He does not tell Arthur Smith, hey, we need to do different things. We need to spread the ball around like we did in Cincinnati. We need to do this. We need to do that. He doesn't have those conversations. And I'm not in that building, so I don't know if that's fact. But what they put out on the football field shows me that those conversations they must not take place. They can't. Or otherwise, you would start to see some sort of changes. You would start to see some sort of ability for this football team to start adapting to their surroundings, adapting to their opponents, changing the ways they win each and every week. And that's what good football teams in the NFL do. Each week they adapt and find a way to win. Everybody wants to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and, oh, they haven't blown a ton of people out this year. You know, maybe this isn't the same old Chiefs team that's been super good and dominating. But yes, they really are. Why? Because championship football teams find different ways to win each and every single week. And during that 10-3 stretch that the Pittsburgh Steelers were on, I felt like they did slightly find different ways to win, but they still stuck to that same basic way that Mike Tomlin likes to play football. And again, it's fine if you have the personnel to do that. But what was different for the Steelers during that 10-3 stretch, my friends? The ball was bouncing their way a great deal in terms of turnovers. The ball was bouncing their way in those big situations, setting up the offense for, at least 3 points most of the time. Getting those points are so valuable for a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers that can't put up a ton of points for some odd reason. And again, when you sit most of your wide receivers, you have one wide receiver out there and, for most of the game, and George Pickens, and everybody else is standing there with coats on during the cold weather and not contributing at all, not being out there, that's the result you're going to have, in a pass-happy league. And Mike Tomlin wants to sit there and act like, oh, hey, we can win this way, these 3 tight end sets. We can have one receiver out there. We can run the ball down people's throats. But he doesn't understand how the rules are tailored in today's NFL. You can draw a lot of pass interference penalties. You can do a lot of things that would gain you some free yards by just having another receiver or 2 out there each and every set and running those routes and pushing the issue for the defense, making them play back on their heels a little bit, making them have to have a little bit of guesswork as opposed to, hey guys, we're playing the Steelers this week. They're going to run Najee Harris on first down for, 10 series in a row. That's how they're going to do it. They're probably not going to throw on first down until around the 4th quarter or so after we put them behind. That's how this is all going to work. So, hey, just play the run, come up and load the box and blitz the living shit out of this football team. Cause disruption to Russell Wilson, cause disruption to that run game, get them off pace, get them off rhythm in the run game, and you are going to win this ball game. You're going to win this football game as long as you don't turn it over to that defense. Easy. The formula is easy, guys. This is probably the meetings these teams are having, like laughing as the Pittsburgh Steelers put their offensive tape out there saying, hey, guys, Russell Wilson's going to throw the ball 20 to 25 times a game, and they're going to run it the rest of the time. They're going to come out there in jumbo-heavy sets with these 3 tight ends, but rest assured, they're never going to run a route. They're never going to do anything. They're not going to throw the football to them, and that's just the way it is. Guys, it's so elementary, and that's just really where we're at with this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Again, I'm not sitting here acting like they don't have a chance to beat a divisional opponent, a team in which they've owned. In reality, a team that Lamar Jackson has only been able to beat in the Pittsburgh Steelers twice in his NFL career. A team that the Steelers have literally owned this rivalry. The Ravens have had, they were like 1 for 9 or something like that before, they beat the Steelers the last time. So if you look at how history has played itself out, and history tends to repeat itself, the Steelers do have a good chance to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. And again, Lamar Jackson has never won a big game. So maybe perhaps the pressure of playing a divisional opponent like the Steelers in the playoffs in round 1 puts enough pressure on Lamar Jackson that he crumbles like a house of cards like he usually does inside of the playoffs. But That we'll all see this week. Can the Steelers do it? Can Lamar Jackson get it done? There's a lot of storylines, guys, and we'll dive into them all week long. So just to get started, Mike Tomlin is the cause of these issues, guys. Mike Tomlin is the problem. Mike Tomlin is the reason the Steelers find themselves in this predicament at 10-7, headed into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak. So until tonight for Steel City Live, guys, make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing to the best show. We truly, truly appreciate that. So until then, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace, my friends.